So it is that time of the month again, where I give you all the books that I've read during the month. So the time has come for me to do my November wrap-up, and this is exactly what I'm going to do. My name is Catherine and welcome to my channel. So this month I read 8 books and I'm really pleased with it, although I did read more books in some of the other months, past year, this year, whatever. But I did read a few books and I really loved some of them, so that's why I'm really pleased with myself. So I'm going to tell you which books I read. So the first book I read was Trial by Fire by Josefina Angelini, and this book is some kind of portal fantasy where our main heroine travels through some kind of portal and then she ends up being in some other kind of world, some other universe. Here, everyone she knows in her world, so our world, is somehow similar to everyone in that other world, including herself, and in that other world she is the most powerful witch. So there she ends up meeting her other self and things like that, and we can see all her adventures. There is also a love story, but it is not the main part of the story, so it is not crucial to the story. There are 2 love interests, so it is kind of love triangle, but I didn't mind the triangle. It is almost like it is not a triangle, but someone would call it like that. And while I did really enjoy this book, I couldn't give it more than 3 stars, because I felt that this book was something like an intro for the future books. And that's why I gave it 3 stars, because I felt like the most of the book was world building, which is fine, because I hope that the next 2 books are going to be even better than this one, and I'm really looking forward to reading them. After that, I read a book that I didn't really like, and that book was Shadows by Paula Weston, and I gave this book only 2 stars because I didn't really enjoy it. I can't really tell you why I didn't enjoy it, but I didn't really like the characters, I didn't really care about the plot, didn't really care about the whole story, whole thing, and I found romance in this book to be really an important part of the story, and it was some kind of insta-romance. I'm not sure, but I felt something like that, and I really wasn't in the mood for reading something like this. And this book is about angels, if you didn't know that, and I realized that I don't really like books about angels, because I read a few of them and I didn't really enjoy them. I like the general idea, but I didn't really like the book that I've read so far. After that book, I picked up 2 books that I was sure that I was going to like, and those were White Hot Kiss and Stone Cold Touch by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And guess what? I loved those books. Those books were phenomenal. If you don't know Jennifer L. Armentrout, and I'm sure that you know Jennifer L. Armentrout, I mean, who doesn't know Jennifer L. Armentrout? That woman is a writing machine. She writes so fast, and I can't believe that every book that she has written is so amazing, because she has this amazing world building and amazing characters, and all of her books are somehow funny and heartwarming, and the dialogue that she writes is such a great dialogue, and all those snarky remarks between the characters, and everything is so smartly done. I just can't express my feelings because there are too many of them. If you didn't know, these books are about wardens and demons. So wardens are something like gargoyles. And I'm sure that you know that gargoyles can be seen on ancient churches and monasteries. Those are those ugly little stony creatures. And yes, this book is about that. And our main heroine is half a demon and she is half warden, so half gargoyle, half demon. And it sounds really strange, I know. But I'm sure that if you told Jennifer L. Armentrout to write a book about a creature that is part dragon, part fairy, part I don't know what, part mermaid and part unicorn, that she would do an amazing job. That woman just can create such an amazing story with something that is really unusual. When I heard that the main character is half demon and half gargoyle, I thought, what kind of book is that? I can tell you what it is. It is unique and you won't find anything like this anywhere. And you also have amazing love interests. I would say interests, although if you ask me, there is only one person that I want Layla to end up with. As I've already said, Layla is half demon, half gargoyle, but she was raised by gargoyles or wardens or whatever you want to call them. And she was raised to believe that her other half is evil and that she really has to do everything she can to forget about the other side and to forget about all her powers and everything and just to be like wardens. Then she meets this really hot demon called Rot, and then everything starts to happen and there is our romance and a lot of stuff. I gave the first book 4 stars and I gave the second book 5 stars, although I do know that a lot of people loved the first book much more than the second one. But I did love the second book much more. After that, I wanted some fantasy, and that's why I picked up Finikin of the Rock by Melina Marchetta, and I was a bit disappointed. I don't know what I expected, but I expected a bit more, and this book was just fine for me, and I don't really want to tell you much about it because there is not much to tell. You just have to read this book. The writing is really beautiful, that's what I really loved, but I didn't really care much about the characters, and I'm sure that I'm going to read the second and the third book and I'm probably going to enjoy those books. I heard that second and third book are much better, and I'm not going really to talk about the first book because I think that this book is better to be read without really knowing much. After that, I wanted a contemporary book, so I picked up I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson, and again I was a bit disappointed. Well, I wasn't really disappointed, but this book was a bit strange for me, and I liked that, but I hated it at the same time. This book is about twins, so brother and sister, and we can see dual perspectives, so we can see, I think that Noah when he was 13 and then Jude when she is 16, and then everything connects at the end, and I really loved how the story connected and I really enjoyed their stories, but it wasn't my favorite. The book wasn't my favorite and I gave it 3 stars. After that, I picked up Young Elites by Mary Lou. If you didn't know, Mary Lou is the one who wrote Legend Trilogy, and this writing style in this book is really similar to the writing style in the Legend Trilogy. So it is fast-paced, full of action and amazing characters, and I really loved it. I gave it 4 stars. So this book is about some kids, some young people who possess magical powers, magical abilities, and they got those abilities after some kind of illness. Not a lot of people survived this illness, and some of the people who survived the illness are called Malfettos, and some of the Malfettos have those kind of abilities. And this book is really dark because, for example, our main heroine had this illness, and illness took one of her eyes, and her hair turned pretty much white. So this is something that all Malfettos have, some kind of scar that is left after that illness. The society really doesn't like Malfettos much, and that's why our main heroine is in that kind of position where she has to hide herself and that she can't really live normal life because everyone around her doesn't like Malfettos, and it is just a difficult life for all of them. And I really did love this book, and the ending is a bit strange and I didn't expect something like that, and that's why I had to give this book 4 stars. I know I gave this book 4 stars because of the ending, but I really did not like the ending. I'm not really sure what is going to happen in the second book, but I'm going to read it no matter what. Then I read my favorite book of this month, and that was The Mortal Heart by Robin Lefevre, and this is the 3rd book in his Fairy Assassins trilogy. This trilogy is a fantasy trilogy, but it is somehow a historical fiction, but I would say that it is some kind of historical fiction mixed with fantasy. So this book is, I would say, about assassins, but it also has some religion in it and some magic and some things connected with each other you know what I'm saying. Anyway, I really love the first two books, and I think that this one is my favorite. I really love the first one and this one, so the second one was fine, but I really love this book and the first book. And if you haven't read this trilogy, I should definitely suggest you to do so, because those books are just so wonderful and I really enjoyed those books. So I read the first two last year, and then this one came out, I think this month, and I read it and I really loved it. There are two plot twists in this book, and I guessed one, the other one I didn't guess, and I really loved them. And I'm sure you're going to enjoy this book as well. That would be all the books that I read in November. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave a comment below so that we could share our opinions. If you read any of these books, or if you have anything to add, I would really love to discuss it with you. And I'll see you in some of my next videos.